What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one of the areas that I feel is lacking in Call of Duty Vanguard, and I wanted to have a little discussion about today, is the Killstreaks. And I'm not even necessarily referring to the style of Killstreak system that they're using and not score streaks. I have talked about that in the past. I definitely think score streaks are the superior system, and I'd love to see at least the option to have score streaks over Killstreaks. But I'm more so talking about the individual Killstreaks themselves, and I just can't help but feel that there's some things that are just missing about the Killstreaks in the game compared to a lot of previous Call of Duty games. And let's just dive right into it, and one of the big areas that I feel is missing with the Killstreaks in this game is a lack of controllable Killstreaks. I'm talking like the types of Killstreaks that we've had in the past where it's almost like a mini game. When you earn that Killstreak, you can call it in, and now you are controlling some other element that's not you just moving around the map and killing people, and instead you're controlling something from the air or from the ground even. At this point, the only thing that sort of fits that role is the glide bomb, which, I mean, the glide bomb is fine in my opinion. I'm happy with the current state of the glide bomb, but that's our only real Killstreak that puts us into that sort of mini game. Aside from that, when you look at all the other streaks, it's either something that we can use in our hands, so we're still like running around the map as if we have a gun, it's just we have something more powerful, like a war machine or death machine. Or there's the flame knot, for instance, which again, it's kind of a similar idea. It's still you as a character moving around the map and killing people with a powerful item. And then all the other ones, you just sort of call in and they do their own thing. You don't really have any control over them, aside from perhaps choosing the location where they do their work. And I've got to say, I'm really missing those Killstreaks that have more of that mini-game feel attached to them. Obviously, I don't want all of the streaks to be like that. I think there's definitely a place for the call it in and forget about it sort of streaks, and I often like using those as well, but I just feel like that variety and that choice is sort of missing from the game. And this leads me to the first kill streak that I just think is straight up missing, and I hope we see in a season coming up, maybe even with season 2. This is a ball turret gunner, or something comparable to the ball turret gunner from COD World War II. That big moment sort of a streak that costs a ton of kills to earn in a single life. It's like the highest streak in the game, and something where you as a player can sort of rain death on the enemies below, something that you have direct control over. Now obviously if they were to add that, of course I want to see some proper counterplay, like cold-blooded for instance, making it so you're not highlighted in red, and maybe even a little bit of spawn protection against that particular kill streak. But yeah, I can't help but think that that's really missing from the game. There's no really super high-end streak that I get excited to earn in this game, aside from maybe local informants, but that's sort of a different thing that just helps me get to a V2 rocket. When it comes to earning the other top streaks like dogs or a firebombing run for instance, well, they're kind of nice to earn and they'll get you some easy kills. They're not really fun to use. They're not engaging in any way because you just call it in and it does all the work for you. So this is why I would really like to see one of those top-end streaks that you have control over and that allows you to just sort of rain death on enemies, just like the ball turret gunner in COD World War II. Honestly, if they just copied and pasted it from COD World War II, I think a lot of people would be very happy with that. Taking that a step further, when I take a look back at COD World War II and the streaks that it had, another thing that I found very odd with this game is the fact that we have the fighter pilot kill streak at a 6 kill streak. But unlike that COD World War II version, which was engaging and had that sort of mini-game feel attached to it where you had control over the fighter pilot and you were actually shooting down on enemies below, now it's one of the things where you select the location and it just does things for you, and it often doesn't really get very many kills, if any at all. There's really no sense of enjoyment or engagement out of using the streak anymore. And honestly, I think I earned it a couple times early in the game's life cycle before I realized that it's just not fun or engaging and it rarely gets kills, so why would I ever want to use it? And I haven't used it since. So that's another area where I feel like they just took a step back from their previous game and they made things less engaging and less rewarding. And my guess is a lot of the changes that we're seeing to the score streak system is them just not wanting the player to pull out that map in game and have this sort of interactable piece of paper in game because that's quote unquote unrealistic. And when it comes to something like that, I think that's kind of ridiculous to be sacrificing that engaging gameplay and that rewarding feeling for the sake of realism, especially when so many other things in the game are just not realistic at all. I don't think that was really a common complaint in COD World War II. Sure, there were probably a couple memes and jokes around it, but it was good for the gameplay to have that map that you could pull out and do things with. And I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather have that really unrealistic piece of paper if it meant that we had more enjoyable kill streaks to be using in the game. So that whole idea of having more engaging kill streaks that you have direct control over, they have sort of that mini game attached to them, I feel like that's a big thing that's missing from COD World War II. However, it's not the only thing. Another thing that I feel is missing, and this might be a little bit controversial, is something like the flat guns kill streak from COD World War II. The type of kill streak that's sort of on the mid to high end, so it's not something that people are earning constantly all the time over and over again, but it's the type of thing that allows you to shut down enemy aerial streaks for a period of time. Now, I know the counter UAV in some ways kind of works like that, like it won't destroy existing streaks that are already in the air, but it does prevent enemy players from calling in many of the streaks in the game. And I made a whole video talking about the counter UAV and how I think it's in a terrible place currently in the game. It's way more powerful than it has any business being for a 4-kill streak. So if it were up to me, I would remove that ability from the counter spy plane completely and just have it work like a normal counter spy plane in the past, where all it does is block out the enemy minimap for a period of time. And then I would add a flat gun kill streak at somewhere around like an 8 or 9 kill streak. Something where it's not something that people are earning constantly, so you're never able to call kill streaks in. And then we also wouldn't see a repeat of last year where those air patrol kill streaks were really easy to earn because you could die repeatedly and still earn them. They were fairly low score to earn as well. So they were popping up in pretty much every match, or at least the higher skilled matches. It was nearly impossible to keep a streak up in the air for very long at all because everybody had one of those air patrols in their back pocket. If they balanced out the flat guns to a reasonable point where some people would feel like it's worth running, but not everybody would gravitate toward it, I think that would be a great addition, especially if they do end up adding something like a ball turret gunner, which I highly suspect is coming. And the reason I like the ability to have a flat gun style streak in the game, which will take down any aerial streaks that the enemies have in the air while preventing them from calling any new ones in for a short period of time, I think this is a great balancing factor, and especially for those good solo players out there where they're just getting steamrolled by parties constantly, where there's like a constant stream of local informants up in the air, and if ball turret gunners get added, there's going to be a constant stream of those as well. This provides a lot more of that balancing factor and that counterplay to those higher streaks. But finally, there's one last thing I wanted to touch on today's video, and again, this is something I have talked about in the past, but I want to keep bringing it up because it is fairly important to me and I feel like it would make a big difference in my enjoyment of the game. I still would love to see them introduce the specialist style kill streaks in the game, where instead of earning your kill streak rewards, you can earn perks in a single life until you die, which will reset it, and then you'll have to start from scratch again. I personally love sacrificing those streak rewards in order to just make myself more powerful by getting more and more perks in the game as I go on a streak. This makes it a lot more exciting to go for V2 rockets as well, and another great benefit of this is it tends to reduce overall kill streak spam in the game, so things won't be getting quite as hectic and crazy. You won't have a constant stream of bombing runs and spy planes and counter spy planes and dogs come in all the time, because at least several people in each match will likely be using specialist instead of the traditional kill streaks. And with that, that's gonna wrap it up for today's topic. It's just something that's been on my mind lately that I feel like the kill streaks in this game are kind of lacking, kind of boring, and I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement there. I obviously don't think this is like the biggest issue in the game by any means, but it's one of those things where a little bit of effort could potentially go a long way. And this is where I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you think about the current state of kill streaks in Call of Duty Vanguard? Do you agree with me? Do you feel like something's just missing from them and they're a little bit on the boring side and there's not so much engagement with them? And what do you think about the idea of potentially bringing in specialists so we can choose to earn perks instead of these kill streak rewards? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.